Okay, guys, so we are finishing Unit 12 today with 12.5. We're making copies again, but we're going to be using all of the skills that we learned about perpendicular bisectors, not parallel lines, copying segments, to construct perpendicular and parallel lines, and then we're also going to construct polygons. So we're going to be making squares, triangles, of different shapes and sizes. So that is kind of what we're doing today. So the first thing we're going to look at on page 700 is constructing perpendicular lines. Okay, so let's take a look at this. In a previous lesson, we practiced bisecting a line segment and locating a midpoint of a line segment using construction. We were actually constructing a line segment perpendicular to the segment above. So we actually have done this. So in order to construct a perpendicular line through a point, we're going to make an arc from point to point, and then we are going to label those intersection points C and D. So we're going to put our compass on the point that's given and make an arc, and then we are going to construct two other arcs from that point, and then we're going to draw a line between them, and that is going to be our perpendicular bisector. So here's all of the instructions for you, so let's actually practice this. So problem number 1. Construct a line perpendicular to the given line through point P. So we're all going to use our compass, so you should have our compass out. P is going to be our center, so we want to make sure that when we make an arc, it actually goes through the entire line. So if you guys notice, is P exactly in the middle of this line that they gave us? No, so we need to open our compass to a length that will go through the entire line. So, I don't know, just eyeball it. And then we're going to make an arc that goes all the way through. So you're going to be almost making a full circle. So you need to make an arc that is going to go touch both sides of that line. And then we need to label those points. So let's label those points. What do you guys want to call them? O and M? Oh, wait, M is for midpoints. How about O and N? O, M, N, O, P, N. Okay, so we'll call them O and N. It really doesn't matter. You can use A and B if you want. Okay, so we are going to open the compass and use C and D as centers to construct arcs above and below the line. So let's keep our compass the same length, and we are going to use these 2 points to construct lines. Okay, so you can open your compass a little bit so that we get arcs that actually intersect, so it does not have to be the same length. Actually, it should be a little bit bigger. And we are going to make some arcs. So put your compass on point N, and we're going to make an arc above the one that we already made, and we're going to make an arc below. So you're going to make an arc above and below. So right now your paper should look like that.
Wait, the same?
Not the same radius. Make it a little bit bigger. If we keep it the same radius, our arcs won't intersect. Okay, so you're going to open up your compass a little bit, and you're going to make an arc above the one we just did, and an arc below. Okay? Now, do not change the opening of your compass and do the same thing using point O. So we're going to make an arc above and an arc below. So it should look like that. What do you guys notice if we label our intersection points? Let's do those Q and R. What do you guys notice about Q, P, and R? They're all lined up. So then you're going to use your straight edge to line them all up and draw a line through all those points. And that's it. So line QR is perpendicular to line ON. And that's all you have to do. You get it? So we're also going to look at constructing a perpendicular line through a point that is not on the line. So if you guys notice, in the one we just did, they gave us a line and we just had to construct a perpendicular line through that point that was already on the line. Now they're going to give us a line and a point off the line, and we're going to construct a perpendicular through that point. So on our line, we're going to use B as a center, and we're going to construct an arc that goes through the line that's given, and we're going to label those intersection points. Okay? Then we're going to do something very similar, and we're going to open the compass radius and construct arcs above and below the line, and they will line up exactly with the point B, so then we can draw a line through them. It's very similar to what we've already done. So let's try that out on number 5. So turn your page, and we're going to try it out on number 5. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to label or draw an arc using B as a center, okay? We do not want it to go through points A, G, okay? So let's make it our compass a little bit smaller. We don't want it to go through the points. The only reason they give us points on that line is because they have to name the line, okay? So open your compass so that it's not going to go through AG, and let's draw an arc using B as your center. So it should look something like that. Okay, so you're going to draw an arc using B as your center, but they're not going through the points AG. What do you guys want to label those intersection points? C and D. Okay. You can do E and F too, that's okay. Okay, so now we're going to open our compass a little bit. It doesn't really matter how much. It's all going to be the same. And we are going to use C and D as endpoints to make arcs just like we did last time. So let's do D first. So you're going to make an arc above. And you're going to make an arc below. And then you're going to do the exact same thing using C as the center. And you're going to make an arc above. And you're going to make an arc below. And our intersection points should still line up. Okay. So as we go through, your intersection points should still line up, and then that line is perpendicular to the other one. Okay, so turn the page to problem 2. We did perpendicular, so now let's look at parallel. And let's just talk about this figure right now. If we are looking at line A and line C, what's the relationship between those? Line A and line C. They're perpendicular. What about line B and line C? Also perpendicular. So what do you think the relationship between A and B is? Parallel, which should make sense, because if A and C are perpendicular, then they have opposite reciprocal slope. If B and C are perpendicular, they also have opposite reciprocal slope. So then what would be the slopes of A and B? The same. Let's put this in terms of numbers. I'm just going to give you slopes. Let's say A has a slope of 3. What would then be the slope of C? Negative what? 1 over 3. Okay, because they're perpendicular, right? So now let's say I don't know the slope of B at all. All I know is that it is perpendicular to line C. So then what would be the opposite reciprocal of that? Positive 3 over 1. Oh my gosh, those two have the same slope. So these are parallel, right? So in order to create parallel lines, we're going to create a perpendicular line and then a second perpendicular line. Okay? And that's going to give us 2 lines that are parallel. So flip your page to number 2. And we're going to do this one together. Okay. So they give us this line, and we want to construct a line that's parallel. So in order to do that, we can't just draw a line and say that it's parallel. We first need to make a line that is perpendicular to that. Okay? So we have, like, say our line A, we need to make the line C that is perpendicular. So in order to do that, we first need to pick a point on line D. So pick any point on line D. I'm going to try and make it as central as possible. Oh, that's not centered at all. It doesn't really matter where you put it. I'm going to call it point P. So then what you guys are going to do is you are going to construct a perpendicular line through P. I'm going to give you all a second to try it on your own. Okay? So using the steps from problem 1, make a perpendicular line for number 2. Okay, guys, so making the perpendicular shouldn't have been too bad, right? We have to make first an arc that goes through both sides of the line. So something kind of like that. And then we have to label those points. I would avoid labeling those points C or D because this one's is already line D. So I'm going to go N and O again. No. So then opening my compass a little bit and using points N and O, you need to make arcs above and below, and then using N and O. And then these 2 points should construct a perpendicular for us. So let's double check. Perfect. Okay. So that line is perpendicular to line D. So you should have been able to construct a perpendicular. Let me change that to P. Okay. Everybody good? Okay. So the next thing we have to do, in order to make a line that is parallel to this, we need to make a second line that is perpendicular to the line we just made. Let's label it. So if this is line D, what do you want to call this guy? A. It doesn't really matter. Let's just call it A. If you want to change the letter, that's fine too. Okay, so line A is perpendicular to line D. So if we create another line that is perpendicular to A, then that line will be parallel, right? So we're going to do this exact same thing, except you're going to have to turn your paper to the side. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, but make a line that is perpendicular to line A. Now, a suggestion that I might have for all of you is try and erase all of those arcs that you made that confused. So then we're starting blank. So I'm going to erase all those arcs that we made to construct that. I know they were so perfect. But that way you don't get confused. So what I want you guys to do now is doing the exact same thing. You are going to construct a line that is perpendicular to line A. Now, I suggest that you pick a new point on line A. So I'm going to pick this point right here. Because if you use P, you're going to end up constructing line D again. Does that make sense? If you use P as your point, you're just going to make this line. So pick another point. Let's call it, I don't care, Q, along line A, and now construct a perpendicular through point Q. So I'll give you guys a second to do that. Okay, guys, so let's check what you did. So using any point on line A as your center, you need to construct an arc, and it doesn't matter how big it is, so let's just do this. So Q should be your new center, and then using those points of intersection, open up your compass and make an arc above and an arc below. And then same thing here. Oops, oh no, my compass moved. we should be okay. Okay? So those 2 points of intersection will give us another perpendicular line. Let's call that line E. So since line E is perpendicular to line A and line D is perpendicular to line A, then line D is parallel to line E. Okay?